Blog Talk Radio.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi. You can hear me okay then?
Well, I was just typing in the chat room. Well, I'm not in the chat room. I was trying to post something.
That's because the chat room is not working.
Okay, the chat room is not working.
Yes, this is a blog talk issue. Chat room. The last 2 days, the last 2 times. I mean, well, I should say the last week it didn't work either. The week before it did work, so I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, thank you for calling in. And what's your name?
Beatrice.
Beatrice. Hello again. Hello again. And once again, thank you for calling in. Did you have a question or an issue that you wanted to discuss at all? I just want to serve your interest first before I go into anything else.
Yes, I did have a question.
Okay.
Well, I wanted to know if it's possible for a student. Well, I don't have a teacher, but I know that the Kundalini can guide you into the direction of the person that it wants you to listen to or to follow their teachings. And what I wanted to know, is it possible if a student can follow more than one person, like 2 yogis or 3 different yogis?
Well, I guess it's possible, but in my experience, when you're mixing techniques, things can get a little, how should I say it? It can get, let's just say, one person, one yogi, if you want to use that term, one yogi recognizes spiritual entities and the other one doesn't. And so one yogi will say, okay, you need to be on the lookout for any kind of a corruption-based entity type of situation that's trying to manifest certain feelings in your mind. And the other yogi is going, oh, don't pay any attention. That's no such thing as that. So what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're pulling from 2 different systems, 2 knowledge base. I typically say don't do that. Make a choice and see what your Kundalini wants you to do, and then follow what your Kundalini wants you to do. Now, who's the other person you're listening to?
Well, I listen to you, and I listen to 2 other yogis. One is his name is Neonime Davis, and the other one is Dr. George King.
And they're all talking about Kundalini?
Yes, they talk about Kundalini.
And is it different than what I'm saying?
No, I see, but pretty much the information is all the same. So
okay.
I have learned a lot from you, a whole lot from you. Actually, you were the very first person that helped me to understand what I was experiencing and what the Kundalini, why I had the Kundalini and how I received the Kundalini. How because it was I was activated, but not that I was asking for it to come into my life. It was accidental, I believe, and
okay.
And once I discovered from the symptoms that I had Kundalini, then I started to understand my process through you, listening to all the videos. And I was also listening to other yogis, and I realized that the information was all the same. It's basically purifying yourself and changing the way you think and your actions and your behaviors and your thoughts. And then it started to make sense that the Kundalini is only here to help us and to take us to a higher consciousness so that we can be of service to others and ourselves and to help humanity. So
correct. Yeah, you. So what is Dr. King and the other one saying that's different?
he pretty much teaches people. He teaches the 9 freedoms and basically teaches people to
No,
like the first freedom is bravery.
What I'm asking is, how is it differentiated? I understand that he's got 9 different whatever he calls them, and I'm sure the other one has, his own system, with whatever he's using. How is it different? In other words, why does your Kundalini want you to hear it from them?
Well,
What's different?
Okay. How I realize is because I have dreams of you,
Yeah.
and also of another yogi, which is Neonime Davis. I had dreams, and they were very positive dreams.
He calls himself Neo9 Davis.
Neonime Davis. Neonime.
Like
with an N.
Nancy.
With
okay, so
Neonime and with an N.
Davis. Kind of like Kalabuhushtarashta Jones. Sorry.
Yes,
I mean,
Neonime.
Some strange name, and then Davis or Smith or Jones afterwards. I love that, like Glorbo Jones.
I just know him by Neonime Davis. I don't know if it's yes, that's his name, and I just had dreams of the both of y'all, and so to me it was like my Kundalini was giving me an indication that I need to always hear your information, and as well as Neonine's, because it's educating me and it's helping me in my process, and how I need to put myself more in service for others to help, because of the way the world is right now. It's in need of people to be more compassionate and forgiving and loving, and we don't see much of it, and we need to all of us help one another out. So these are things that I did not see before, because we live more in the ego, and I was very much living in the ego without not thinking of anybody but myself. But once I started to realize certain things, little by little, gradually, I started to come out of being so selfish and non-caring and not thinking of others like the way I should as a human being. So I learned a lot from the safeties. The safeties help out so much, because if you don't try and help yourself, you're going against the Kundalini, and you're going to get a lot of experiences that you don't want, and it's there only to teach you a lesson. And that's basically a lot of what I've learned with you and the other yogis, that the information. So I'm a loyal follower of you, because
you don't have to be loyal to me. you don't have to be loyal to me.
I am because you are closer. You're closer to the divine, and you're doing everything to help us that are going through this process. And if we didn't have you, I mean, I wouldn't know what I would have done, because there's a lot of the information that you give is stuff that a lot of us, we don't know, because we're kind of like wearing a pair of glasses that are dark, and we can't really see what's really going on in life. We're living in a different we're living in a different consciousness that doesn't allow us to see the reality. So you help us to remove those glasses.
if I wasn't there, somebody else like Neo9 Davis or Dr. King would step in. So it's not like Chrism is indispensable. It just is what it is. I mean, the two other teachers that you mentioned. Obviously, how do you spell Neo9? I'm trying to find it here.
Actually, I don't know how to spell his first name. No, I don't know. But yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, that's fine. So yeah, Grace will always provide. If Grace wants you to hear, it's. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, gosh, I just got this phone one disconnected thing. Gee Louise. I'm glad you're there.
I'm still here.
Okay, all right. If Grace will not abandon you. And now, at times, it may seem like it has abandoned you, but it never abandons you. It's your sensation of receiving a certain type of say, bliss or sensation or information. If you stop receiving that the way it has conditioned you perhaps to receive it, then you'll think that you've been abandoned, but you'll never, ever be abandoned by Grace. Okay, so let's let that be a baseline understanding. If I pass away tomorrow, then Neo9 or Dr. King would be available for you to continue your journey with, and so nobody's indispensable. I can die tomorrow, and things will be just fine for you. I just want to make that clear, okay?
Okay.
Sometimes it's good to get similar information in a different way. I'm sure, like Dr. King has his 9 things, and I'm sure Neo9 has his technique that explains, where he's coming from with it. And the fact that you're dreaming of 2 or even 3 different sources of information about the Kundalini I think that's a positive thing. That's showing you that you have options. Now, I have a fairly challenged reputation, and so, these other 2 probably don't have as challenged a reputation as I do. And sometimes that scares people. They say, oh, God, what are people saying about that guy? Maybe I should look somewhere else. And they look somewhere else, and oh, that guy's just, everybody loves him, so let's go with that. So that's a good thing. I think that you're being given options. As far as techniques or systems go now, that's a different story. Like I have a very specific system, like you mentioned, with the safeties, the safety protocols. You're doing the 5 Tibetans, you're doing pranayama, you're doing, which is the alternate nostril breathing. You're doing a compression prayer, which is praying with alternate nostril breathing. Then you're doing a meditation, and then you might be doing some devotion and doing some forgiving and having gratitude and doing service for the public. This is great, but what if Dr. King's gates or Neo9 doesn't harmonize with that? What would you do then?
Well, then I would pretty much I would look at you and your teachings and see what would work well with me. I mean, I guess that's what I would do. I do understand that the Kundalini, when it's right at the right time for me to have a teacher, then I will be matched up with one that will come into my life, and we will meet each other. But I kind of figured out that if the Kundalini has not given me instructions to go with a particular person, then I guess it's in my karma to just try and figure it out. Of course, with the help of the Kundalini guiding me to certain teachings, then it's in my karma, and that's what I believe for me to be this way because of my circumstance. I'm a mother with 2 kids, and I figured that, well, maybe I'm not in that position yet, karmically, to have a teacher to come into my life, and then I can pretty much give up everything, which is something that I would like to do, but I can't because I'm a mother, and I have to have a home and a car, and I have to care for them, and so I know that I can't just give everything up. So I know that I'm working with the karma that I have, and I have to go with what I just, this is the way I look at it. If everything is positive and I know that the person is very close to God, then that is the person that I follow all of their teachings, because that person has stirred me into the right direction. And that's how I pretty much have gone about judging the situation.
Well, that's good. No, that's very good. I think that's a very good way to do that. And so I think what your Kundalini is showing you is that you have options, and if you want to cherry pick certain kinds of wisdom, like this Neo-9 guy, he'll have certain wisdoms, and I'll have certain wisdom. Dr. King will have certain wisdoms, and these wisdoms may be what your Kundalini wants you to have at that time. Maybe about certain experiences within the Kundalini. So often you'll hear that oh no, you must stick with one teacher and you must do this and that, and I think that is true. But I think that in the case of a Kundalini person, the ultimate teacher is the Kundalini.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that sense, you are sticking with one teacher. You just stick with the Kundalini. If the Kundalini wants you to listen to Chrism, then you listen to Chrism. If it wants you to listen to, President Trump,
oh no,
then you listen to him. The Kundalini gets to decide for you, and she's giving you the option, though. So that's really good. And I think that if she has steered you towards these 2 other people, then, obviously you're listening to them, and obviously they're not upsetting you or causing you any kind of distress, right?
Well, even if you said something to me that would not make me feel so happy, I wouldn't be upset with you, because I do understand that you know more than I do. So therefore, if you was to give me some information to help me, and it will be something that I dislike, I would not be upset, because I know that you understand more of what's happening with me than I do. So
let's back up a little bit. The Kundalini knows. The Kundalini knows. And sure, by virtue of the grace within me, I get almost instantaneous affirmation about how a person is in a certain way, and I can that is a great point of discernment. But we must always realize that it's Kundalini that is doing this. That is the Kundalini. As far as saying something to you that is, go ahead.
Oh, no, I mean, like, if you was to say to me, well, Beatrice, you have to stop being selfish, and, a person who doesn't want to deal with the truth would be upset. So
okay, sure. But what if I said you have to stop, smoking cigarettes, or stop drinking coffee, some sort of a strong addiction? That changes things.
Well, those things can cause those things are not, are not right for you when you have the Kundalini. So if you ask me to give it up, I can't have it. It's not possible.
See,
it depends how
your understandings, Beatrice, your understandings are a teaching in and of themselves. More people right now listening to this program, if they're, I don't know if Blog Talk's, I guess it's recording this. It's hard to tell. The people who listen to this program will learn from what you're saying more than anything that I'm saying. What you're saying is literally a quality of teaching in and of itself. And it tells me a lot about how you're approaching the Kundalini and how the Kundalini is approaching you. And I think you're really doing it well. And I think it's giving itself to you in a very good way, and you're receiving that goodness in a very strong way. So if she's showing you that other person or those other two persons, go with it. Go with it. Just go with it. If you reach a point within one person's teachings that contradicts what I'm saying or what the safeties are saying, then you might ask your Kundalini, well, which one should I go with, right? How should I approach this, right? And instead of using words, she may give you a vision, or she may answer you in the dream life. Now, maybe she'll use me as a archetype within your dream life, and you'll ask that dream, Chrism was like, well, hey, Neo9 said this, and you're saying that, and how, which one is best for me to adopt? And then based upon the answer that you get from the Kundalini that is using the Chrism as a figurehead or someone that you can talk to in the dream state, right? Depending on what is said from that source, you can make a better determination.
Yeah. Yes.
Right now, you're and that's the other thing is I've written about the butterfly scenario where you become this happy little butterfly, and you're going from teacher to 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 teacher, and taking this from that, and taking that from over there, things of that nature. You can get yourself a bit spread out, but if your Kundalini is supporting it, and my feeling is you have a very good connection with your Kundalini. So if your Kundalini is supporting it, then go for it. Go for it. Okay. Yeah. So you take from Neo9 and Dr. King and Chrism, and you just begin to compile a level of information and understanding that serves you and your grace. I was writing about this early on where, some certain religions don't appreciate the consciousness of the Kundalini, don't appreciate its wisdom and its ability to communicate with you. It can communicate to you with words. It can appear right in front of you in an embodiment. It just doesn't typically do that because there are levels of trust, levels of surrender, levels of faith that need to be developed by the individual so in such a strong way that they don't require those egotistical proofs that so many of us are addicted to receiving. So, for instance, if you want to learn about football, well, then you talk to a football player or a football coach, right? And you can see them, they're living, you can hear them, you can talk with them, you can interact with them. Whereas with Kundalini, that's not always the case, but it is sometimes. She hears you more than she'll respond to you with words, right? Sacred Mother.
I find that to be true, yes.
And so if she is telling you to, hey, go listen to these guys too. And maybe there's an agenda for her, for you through her. that allows a certain level of realization to come through the different they're being given. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Mhm.
Okay.
It sounds
sure
like,
talking to the air.
No, I'm still here. I can hear you. Mhm. I wanted to ask you another question also.
Sure.
And this is really out of curiosity. If a person has well, how can I say, manipulated their karma by making a lot of radical changes in their life. You know, once they were a thief and now they're no longer a thief. Now they used to be a pathological liar. Now they're no longer a liar. I mean, they're turning into a saint.
All right.
And once a person who has Kundalini, who has made all of these changes because they feel so close to divine and they are close, they just want to improve and help everybody. And at some point, do they go through the dark night of the soul? Is the dark night of the soul like the leftover karma that the person, like the ego, that they have not been able to let go, something secretly in there? Because the Kundalini knows basically you inside and out and knows your thoughts and your feelings and your fears. And if you made so many changes, but then there's like one or two things still there, would that be something that would cause the person to go through the dark night of the soul? Or
easily, yes, of course.
Usually?
And you can have more.
Okay.
You can have more than one dark night too. You know.
Okay.
And of course there is also an agenda with the dark night. You know, about cleaning up a person's current expressions and understandings and ideologies about, you know, any number of subjects, and also dealing with some of the karmic layers that are embedded in a deeper way within the person's psychology and within, you know, even within their own physical being. Like there's entities can travel from life to life and body to body. So if you have an entity that's been embedded into your energy and you know, from 2 lifetimes ago, well, the dark night can dredge that up, and you won't know why this is occurring, because you, once again, you went through the veil of forgetfulness, and here you are in this body, and you're doing definite levels of improvement by trying to have the Kundalini and to follow the Kundalini, and yet there's this entity from 2 lifetimes ago. Let's say it was a Viking. It was out there killing and raping everybody.
Yes.
You're definitely going to have a dark night to bring levels of balance to yourself and possibly to extricate that entity. Okay, and so dark nights are really harsh experiences, but there's always a goodness to it.
Yes. I thank the Kundalini when something wrong goes in my life, because I kind of like realize that if I get a certain experience that I'm supposed to like go through, it's clearing up the karma, and it's also giving me a lesson for me to learn from. And I've learned that when something dreadful or awful happens, it's just something that you just have to get over and go through. So I give thanks for that experience, and then
there you go.
Then I do the forgiving.
That's the way to go. That's the way to go with it. And let's just look at another example of that. I have two dogs here. They're asleep right in front of me, and they're both females. And there is a primordial drive within the feminine consciousness, whether it's a dog or a cat or a human or a bird, to compete for dominance, right?
Mhm.
And this flows right into the feminine consciousness of human beings as well. And these are the areas that, for a woman, needs to be worked on. This area of jealousy, the area of needing to, this primordial drive to be the dominant female within a household or within a company or within a, within any given situation, really. And that is a leftover trace of primordialism, if that's a word. I'll risk it.
Wow.
And this is something that a dark night would begin to work on. Okay. And so it's not all like an entity, or it's not all an outside to in cleansing. It is also an inside to outside cleansing. With the two girls here, they're going through that whole scenario, and it's very difficult for them because, each one wants to be the dominant dog, and I have to keep them separate because they'll fight. They'll tear each other to pieces, and it's a great teaching for me to realize that, yeah, human females do this very same thing, and it's not all about advancing towards having the best mate, right? Like it would be with the dogs. It's also about how they deal with competition in the first place. Beatrice, where do you compete? Where do you compete with other women? Is it with looks? Is it with money? Is it with the ability to procreate? These types of things. Go ahead.
I used to, yes, I was a highly, very jealous person, very envious, and also trying to compete with other women with looks. And this is where all of my time and my energy was tied up into. And once I started to realize with the Kundalini that my energy and my time was tied up into this negative behavior, then I started to realize that I've created all the problems for myself, because this is you're sabotaging your own self by being this way. And I started to make changes. I got rid of everything. I got rid of makeup. I don't dye my hair. I don't wear jewelry. I'm very natural, and I'm more happier with my life.
I could have swore I saw you walking down the street with blue hair. Huh. with pink ends.
Drawing a lot of attention, which is another not a good thing neither to do. Having everybody stare at you, that's not
right. Well, I have to compliment you, Beatrice. I really have to compliment you, because you answered that situation I was describing perfectly. You just have to step out of the game. You have to step out of this primordial-based competition that the feminine and the masculine natures, that we're born. It's the bestial or animalistic natures that are present. Yeah, because the males do the same thing. That's why you get the antlers on the deer, because the male deers can go at it to find out who's the strongest. Now, who set up that system? Sacred Feminine did. Shakti did. She set up she set up the system of aggressiveness and jealousy and dominance and all of that. She set that up. But just because she set that up doesn't mean she doesn't want us to move through it and beyond it.
Mhm.
You know, you're
You have
not
to
still
come.
a. Go ahead.
You have to come to I guess a self-realization of these negative behaviors of competition, and then once she helps you to understand and see yourself for who you were and what you were, then I guess that is what helps you to move from that phase and then go into another that will help you to teach you new behaviors that is going to take you higher spiritually.
Right. I mean, you're not still in kindergarten, right?
No.
So you've had to move. You've had to move through all the grades of school, maybe even to some college, whatever, in order to get to be the person where you are right now. You've had to move forward and receive the information and acknowledge the information. And you, Beatrice, I mean, you're really doing well with it. I have to compliment you again. You're really coming into levels of self-realization that I feel are really progressive and moving you forward into further levels of Kundalini grace and understanding. And the fact that she's bringing teachers to you in your dreams really is a reflection of your ability to open and surrender and allow access to these levels of information. So congratulations to you, Beatrice.
Thank you.
Well,
I thank the Kundalini.
Thank the Kundalini. That's right.
I thank the Kundalini because the Kundalini has helped me to make myself more and more aware of, and I'm still learning. There's a lot more that I'm learning, and every day I wake up, I'm always thinking of the Kundalini. Actually, the Kundalini is everything for me in my life, and I just want to say that, without the Kundalini, I can't imagine of going back to who I was in my past, because that's not an option, and I'm just happy. So I know it could be difficult for some people in the beginning to deal with the Kundalini, but as time goes by, it just gets better and better, and your life just improves, and everything else falls into place. So
and how is this affecting how you raise your children?
I teach my children about the Kundalini, and I tell them. One of the things is that I don't belong to any particular faith or religion, so I pretty much let them know that God exists in all faiths and all religions, and churches at home. And as long as you pray and show service to others and watch your behaviors and just try to remove the fears. When you have kids, you can pretty much start to see the fears that come in with child, and you try to work with them to help them. So the Kundalini helps you also with your own children. And I don't, like I said, I don't have a particular faith, but I would say it would be mystic knowledge that I teach the kids, and they understand. They understand what I teach them. I teach them about the yogas, about bhakti yoga, devotion and service to God. So I try. I don't really have like a faith in particular that I'm comfortable with, because I see that the truths are not everywhere about the Kundalini. So and I don't I don't feel comfortable. I was born as a Catholic, and I don't feel comfortable sitting in the Catholic Church. Now, I have nothing negative to say about them. It's just that I don't see the advancement in the spirituality there than like the way I see it with you or with another yogi. I see that I am advancing spiritually through your teachings, but not in the Catholic Church.
Right, and yet, the Catholic Church is it's only a manipulation of information that they're doing that doesn't allow people to realize that, the kingdom of heaven is within, and that is Kundalini.
Yes.
Kundalini
yes,
is the kingdom of heaven, and
yes, Kundalini.
so they'll say the kingdom of heaven is within, they'll put that in the Bible and all of that, but they won't allow people to access that in themselves. But of course, sometimes grace doesn't really care, and grace will just activate within them, like you, Beatrice. I mean, you were probably a very devout Catholic when you were a child or whatever. You paid attention, right, to catechism and all that?
I didn't grow up really in a family that imposed Catholicism on us. We were just born, and I didn't really come from a family that practiced. Only on holidays did we go to the church, and that was pretty much it.
Well, that was with me and my family. Although,
so I didn't get much. Well,
my mother said that she was forcing me to go to church on Easter and Christmas to teach me manners. Tells you what kind of kid I was. Just a little snot. Okay. Well, do you have any other questions, Beatrice? It's such a pleasure to talk with you. I just want to say.
It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much, Chrism, and I'm just happy to hear from you, and that you'll be here every Saturday for me to hear, and everybody else. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Beatrice, and really a pleasure to speak with you. And I'll go ahead and put you in the blue here.
Okay.
I think. No idea if that's going to work or not. And come back. And Rosemary Goliath, are you available?
I am. I'm enjoying Beatrice very much, and what a gracious
Isn't that amazing?
woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah,
she's
and
great.
so relaxed.
Really...
It's something that very desirable for me to have that peacefulness and familiarity with this grace in her life. That's wow.
And raising her kids with an understanding of Kundalini. What amazing people they're going to turn into, or probably already are.
Yeah.
So wonderful. Well, I tried to get a hold of you earlier, and I guess that just wasn't working, right? Now it's working.
I guess so.
Strange.
Oh.
It sounded like you were preparing lunch. Is that what was occurring?
That was. Well, why didn't I hear you?
I don't know. I could hear you with the pots and the pans, but I wasn't getting a response. So it's just another blog talk thing. Well, I just wanted to check in with you, make sure you're hearing everything. Is everything being heard?
Yes, very well.
Oh, good. Thank you, my dear. And I'll go ahead and, did you have any question or anything I could help you with?
No, I just want to say what an inspiration someone is like Beatrice, and what the value of her exchange with you is in the program here. Thank you.
Yeah, and really what I'm really getting in an isolated form is that Kundalini is the ultimate teacher, and if she wants you to hear Chrism, then you'll hear Chrism. If she wants you to hear Joe Bob Norton, then you'll listen to Joe Bob Norton. And just for anybody that's listening, I'm making that name up. Okay. Joe Bob Norton. Who knows? Maybe there's a teacher out there named Joe Bob Norton, but I don't know. So yeah, she is definitely, Beatrice definitely is an inspiration. Once again, thank you, Beatrice, for that nice quality of learning and lessons and understandings that you're living your life by and influencing the lives of others who can also mirror in their own way the understandings that you have given to us, just like they do with you, Rosemary.
That is the application for each person for me to be reminded of that's really who our Divine Mother is.
Exactly. And I'm going to go ahead and thank you for that and go ahead and put you into the blue here. And so I'm not quite sure. Okay, what's coming to my mind right now are metals. Metal, metals. The metals that you can use next to your skin are silver, gold, and copper. And any mixture thereof of that. There are some metals out there that are being used, like, what's the name of that metal? Tungsten and steel. The steel is not so harmful, but the tungsten can cause a poison. The tungsten, skin contact with tungsten is poisonous. So if you're looking for bracelets or rings or anything that represent, like, the red, deep red would be on the left hand and the deep blue would be on the right hand. Try not to let anything be made of tungsten. Let it be just gold, copper, or silver. The copper and the silver will leave a green mark on your skin, but that's not damaging at all. The gold won't leave anything on your skin, unless something's on the inside of the ring that isn't gold. So I just wanted to put that out there. So I think we should talk about some of the one of Beatrice's questions was about people coming from a criminal background, someone who has done some robberies, maybe done some, created injuries, physical injuries on people, and all of a sudden grace falls upon them and they begin to turn their life around. And what does that do with their karma? Well, they'll still pay for the karma that they created in the earlier part of their life before the grace came to them. They will still pay for that, and they will still have a dark night soul about that to some degree, depending on how their karmic equation is to be balanced. And it's not always, well, they do bad things, and so they have to have bad things. Sometimes the bad things a person does is for the goodness of the individual, the victim, shall we say, to balance the karma that they had when they were a robber in another life, and they had to experience what it was to be robbed in this life. You see, it's not just a single conduit of balancing that occurs. It's a multi-pronged level of balancing that is occurring, and sometimes a person that is going to be, as Beatrice said, a saint within Kundalini, and if they started with a criminal history, probably a lot of the people that they're inflicting crime upon needed to have that balance from the reception of crime being committed upon them. Now, that doesn't make it any better for the person committing the crime, but it does make it better for the person who is experiencing the crime if they have, shall we say, a karmic red flag that they need to understand what it is to be robbed or brutalized or whatever it may be, whatever the crime is. This becomes a complex set of understandings that what you have done in your past life, you will need to balance in this current life if that is up for balancing within the current life. You've had many, many, many lives, and so as you experience these lives and you come into the flesh container that you are right now, the container of grace, Shakti Kundalini will pick specific karmas that you are to accomplish in this life. It can be being robbed. It can be being raped. It can be being molested as a child. A lot of the Kundalini people, they're molested as children because children have no control. They have no power, and it is a harsh karma, but it is a karma, and it does open up gateways of freedom that would not otherwise be attained unless that child went through that difficult karma. Okay, and a lot of Kundalini people have this, and that is not accidental. And it's not necessarily an exact reflection either. So if somebody stole an apple in a past life, and you don't want to have the expectation that, okay, well, in this life they're going to have an apple stolen. It could be something else of equal value. It could be something else that somebody was selling in a market and was depending on a certain amount of revenue coming in, and when that person stole the apple, it was the straw that broke the camel's back, and that person lost their store because that apple was stolen. Well, you see, it's a huge ramification, and I am blowing it out of proportion really in a way so that you can kind of get the point. But so it's not just the karma of stealing the apple, it's the karma of everything around what the theft of that apple brings into being. So the store manager couldn't make his rent, and because he couldn't make his rent, he had to leave, and because he didn't have a place to sell his wares, and he wasn't having any kind of an income, and because he wasn't having any kind of an income, therefore he lost his house, and because of the extraordinary pressure of losing the store and losing the house, well, his relationship with his spouse began to flounder, and you can kind of see how this is going, and this really happens to people. And so Kundalini is giving a person an experiential eye view of what it is to have such a small thing as the theft of an apple expanded into a huge level of hurt and destruction within the lives of people that are affected by the theft of a small little thing that is a point of balancing for the lives of others. You get to have that experience, you get to have that understanding, and so it won't exactly mirror the theft of the apple. Perhaps it'll be the ruination of a business, or the ruination of the relationship, or both, or some other type of situation that allows the person to experience the levels of teaching that they need to experience in order to attain harmony and balance within their karmic load, their karmic debt. Okay, so that is something that people having the Kundalini need to begin to understand, that some of these really, really challenging things that happen to you as a kid or happen to you as an adult or as a teenager, these things had to happen. And when you look at yourself in the mirror, you look at the creation of an individual that was designed to experience everything that you're experiencing. Everything. And that includes everything the Kundalini is bringing to you. Not just your karma residue or I'm looking for a word here, the redemption of karma. This redemption comes in many, many, many different forms. And it's not an exact apple for an apple, eye for an eye, orange for an orange. It's not like that at all. It will take and it will dissect a certain situation, like with the apple, and how that lack of revenue expanded into an emotional destruction with somebody's spouse, a financial destruction with the loss of their business, a level of understanding experientially that the noble behaviors are needed to be expressed all the time and forever, ever after, so that the person knows, that the person understands, the person can begin to assess how they are in their life and how they want to express living a Kundalini life. And I'm going to ask if the sound is still good. Okay, and so this is interesting for a person to remember now. Going back to Beatrice's suggestion about a person becoming a saint. When you look at St. Augustine was a soldier. He started out as a soldier. And, he, by his own admission, must have killed like 500 men, 500 people. And yet, the Holy Ghost came to him, or Kundalini came to him, and began to change him and took him out of his murderous ways and literally tried to change him into a grace-based individual. That doesn't mean that he's going to escape the karma of killing 500 people. Not at all. Every single one of those people and their families and their friends and the people that they were supposed to meet and all of this type of thing will come into an equation where St. Augustine gets to live that karma. So it becomes a very, very long path. And the more you do of a nefarious nature, the longer that path becomes. It's kind of like what Scrooge was told by Jacob in Dickinson's story. Just a second. Okay, looks like I'm going to be interrupted here. Just a second. All right, so I'm going to have to move. Just a second, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm kind of going out here to the trailer, and we'll see if I get good reception. I hope I do. Okay. Moving. And we shall see here. If anybody needs to take a bathroom break, this is the time. Okay. Sorry about that. I hope that wasn't too loud for anyone. Okay, so here I am in the trailer. Looks like I'm getting some reception here. I'm going to come on over to Rosemary and ask her if she can still hear.
Yes, I am here. Yes, I'm still here, and I know where you are. I can see it.
You can see it? Really?
Yeah, in my imagination, my memory.
Oh, I thought my camera was on.
Oh, no. No.
Okay, good. Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we are continuing. Now, I have to tell you, I have rescued a baby crow, and the crow is looking at me over here, and he or she is being cared for, being fed and kept safe until they can fly away. But you may hear a crow cawing So that's the genesis of that. Okay. All righty. So, wow, this has been a very, very interesting show in pushing for flexibility. Been pushing pretty hard for flexibility. So, once again, I want to apologize to anybody that's listening that tried to get onto the chat room. This is the second time in a row that the chat room has failed, and I'm not quite sure what that's about, but I'm going to have to call Blog Talk up and find out. And let's see here. Okay. Thank you. I have Hungarian Lotus monitoring the sound. Tom is also, Tom, thank you very much, both of you, for letting me know it's difficult when you can't relate or you can't interact with the people. All right, so continuing onward. So St. Augustine, he has a long, long road, and I mentioned Scrooge. I was talking about Scrooge in a Christmas Carol. Jacob comes to him, and he's the first kind of ghost that comes to him, and he says, every bad thing I did formed a link in the chain, and you see this long chain going behind him, and Dickinson describes how you could hear the clink and the clank of the chain being pulled, of a very long, heavy chain, and every link in that chain, Jacob tells Scrooge, represents something that I did to hurt another person. And this is a great, great understanding of karma. And that you have to pull that chain with you to everywhere you go, because that is your karma. That is what you have done. That chain is what you have built as a soul in life expression. And people are looking at that maybe right now and going, oh, my God, I've got such a bad chain. Like, oh, my God. I can never go swimming again. The chain will weigh me down. But the chain, the length of the chain, and in support of the chain, the length of the chain is like a weightlifting project. It gives you the strength to recognize what you have done and to make those corrections. As you make each of those corrections, one link of the chain is taken off. And so as you come into a Kundalini life where you have a lot of the karma that's coming up, the Kundalini people get more karma than other people. And so a lot of those links in the chain are falling away, and the chain is getting lighter and lighter and lighter to the point where you can move into a higher frequency of interaction, a higher frequency, a higher vibration. But that doesn't eradicate the chain. You still have links on the chain. And some of the goodness that you do out of the goodness of your heart, just out of the goodness of your heart, and maybe out of some of the pre-planned goodness of your heart too, you can also continue to remove links in that chain of karma that you're pulling behind you. So this is why I say, for a Kundalini person to do selfless service, not for a family member, although you can, not for somebody at work, although you can, not for a customer at work, although you can, but for a perfect stranger, someone you have never met before, and yet you pull the car over and you get out and you help that little old lady across the street. You pull the car over and you give that homeless person a $20 bill so that they can eat, not maybe just at the fast food restaurant that they may be standing in front of, but that they can eat maybe one or two meals, however you can afford it. The whole Jesus thing of teaching a man to fish and he can fish for a lifetime. Well, that's not always an option. That is not always an option for people. But what is more of an option for people is to give more than the $1 or the 50 cents or the loose change in the ashtray in the car, but to give something that is important to you. Like $20 is typically something that's important to a person's wallet. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just putting it out there that also can help with some of the links in that karmic chain that you have, that Jacob was telling Scrooge about. So it's a very, very important lesson that I'm sure Dickinson wasn't even aware of. Maybe he was. Maybe he was a Kundalini guy. But this program is kind of turning into karmic ramifications. So let's just stick with that. There are also there is also something that is referred to as golden handcuffs. Golden handcuffs. And this is the idea that the more goodness you do, the more good karma that you develop. And that even as you progress within the Kundalini, good karma can weigh you down in a similar fashion as bad karma because of the attachment, you see. It's the attachment aspect of any kind of karma that can slow a person down. So typically, Kundalini people typically are not billionaires. And one of the reasons being is that they would probably give much of their money away anyway. They might be doing so much good that they would not allow themselves to move beyond, unless they were able to commit some unfortunate things too. I hate to say that because it's way down the line with people. It's way down the line. I say right now, get your golden handcuffs. Get that karma, that good karma going, and walk the middle pillar. Walk the middle path. You have some good karma, you have some bad karma, and you're walking the middle path, and you're taking instruction from your Kundalini on what areas of that path she wants you to have a challenge in, or she wants you to have, a pleasant experience with. And you can actually change your consciousness so that you have both. So that you have both. You have both good and challenging types of scenarios. All right. Now, if there are any questions, I am logged into am I logged in? Yeah, it looks like I'm just barely logged into Facebook. Oh, wow. Huh. I mean, really. Tom or Iman, can you type a hello or something so I can see if I'm going to receive it out here? This is an aluminum trailer, so the aluminum might be blocking the signal fairly strongly. So Tom or Iman, please post something under this thread and let me know if I can take questions. As a matter of fact, anybody that is listening, if you want to go onto the thread that is advertising the show, Kundalini Radio Program, live and interactive, if you have a question that you want to ask, it looks like somebody is commenting right now. And Olivia is saying, hello, Olivia. So it looks like I do have some kind of a connection, albeit maybe a very, very weak one. Interesting. Interesting. So if you have a question, feel free to type it out on that thread right there. It looks like Amen is saying, hello, the sound is very good. And you say, okay, very good, very good. Thank you, Amen Hamoud. Thank you very much. Okay, so if there is a question from anybody that's listening on Facebook, please feel free to type it out. And I appreciate Hungarian Lotus for letting me know that the sound is still good. So there we go. And I'm going to do a little bit of a reading here from some of the posts that we've had on the group. Now, one that I worked on earlier, right before the show, is talking about Vipassana and Jainism. And here is my take on that. There are some people who do the Vipassana meditation and they awaken their grace. You know, I've had plenty of people, really good people, come and join the group because they've done a Vipassana meditation and they've had their Kundalini activated. And I agree that the 10-day retreats can stimulate an activation of the Kundalini, which can eventually lead one into the awakening. But if you're going to stick to the Jainism idea, which is the overarching belief system that you'll have much of the time with Vipassana. Now, of course, you know, different people will put on different levels of Vipassana meditation. Vipassana is a 10-day meditation retreat that has the ability to activate Kundalini. And so if you're doing it classically, then the Vipassana people will be really a representation of Jainism, which is an ancient Indian, ancient meaning it's about 2,500 years old, and that they practice a certain religion, and like so many systems or religions that are reaching for grace, they assume to know how many stage of Kundalini and what each stage of Kundalini means according to their system. And they, like other systems, they seek to pull a person into their belief system by proclaiming to know. You know, they know all about Kunalini, and by organizing symptoms and signs and whatnot, with a person having that belief or having the experience, they organize it into a pattern that they like to perceive as stagnant or progressive. If you do their thing, then it's stagnant. If you do something else, then it's not progressive. If you do their thing, it's progressive. If you don't, it's stagnant. In Jainism, the main religious premise of Jainism is nonviolence, and then practicing many-sidedness, so seeing all sides of a situation, and then looking at non-attachment, and then looking at nonviolence, and then looking at truth, and then looking at some of these noble qualities. And I support all of this. Not stealing, and they also like the celibacy. They like to use the celibacy or chastity, and non-attachment. And these work well with the Kundalini. But by no means do they cover more than a small fraction of the knowledge and experience that is in the experience and enlightenment of the Kundalini. But they think it does. They think that, they've got Kundalini all handled, and they can kind of just do what they want to do with it, and as long as they practice their noble behaviors, that they'll be fine. And to some degree, I think that is true. I mean, if they're really practicing many-sidedness, or if they're really practicing non-attachment, and if they're really looking at truth and nonviolence, these types of things, well, it will serve a Kundalini person very well, very, very, very well. But with some of their approaches, their explanation, they take out, by being such a true believer in a religion and saying this is the way, this is the only way, and this is the way that you can do this, this, or that within Kundalini, they basically take out of their practice the many-sidedness of a situation and the non-attachment to a single system or explanation of that grace. And so when you're out there, you're doing your Vipassana, you're basically coming into the control and the form or the format of meditation with Jainism, being the controlling system of religious format at that event. So Jainism likes to, or this kind of Vipassana likes to term Kundalini as merely the fourth stage. And my grace sees this as really kind of an egotistical attempt to rationalize and diminish a mystery of what most people cannot fathom. And yet because of their system, the Jainism system, all is known and all is explainable and all therefore everybody should be a Jain and reach, their whatever stages with the help of their Tirthankaras, which are dead teachers. And, it just isn't the truth unless you want it to be. And then as they do, you will blind yourself to anything that contradicts that belief system. And Kundalini will contradict that belief system. And the confusion is that unless they're really doing these noble approaches that they state truthfully, well, then you can't really have a religion that is so absolutist that the many other sides can't be appreciated, and that the truth of Kunalini being a multicultural, multi-level system of belief that encompasses all human belief systems that pursue truth and grace and understanding, and a lot of the qualities that they espouse here. That is, in some ways, it's contradicting itself. Kundalini comes to people in many different ways, and with the valuation of karma that is unique and pertain only to the individual. In no way is there a cookie cutter type of repetitive mass answer to an individual equation or all equations with the depth that this religion tries to maintain. And yes, we can follow what grace demonstrates with kriyas. We can follow what grace demonstrates with visions or organ expansion and other phenomena. But those examples are given by the actual grace of the Kunalini itself. And that is evidenced by so many people having these symptoms, regardless of the religious disposition of that individual. Okay? This is why, I constantly tell people who ask me, well, what religion do you belong to? What teacher do you belong to? This or that. And I say, I don't have a religion. And if the closest thing I have to religion is Kundalini itself. And I like that they practice these noble behaviors. I really do, because the Kundalini really does like them. But their codification, really, of these things, and then, organizing them into stages. They got 17 stages, and minimizing the importance of Kundalini, by referring to it as only the fourth stage out of 17 stages. And there are only some of the aspects of Kundalini out of many, many levels of experience and education downloaded by grace. Okay? So they're self-limiting in a way. And among other qualities, and this is the one that really, kind of digs away at me and kind of like allows me to kind of drift away from Jainism, is that it is the Kundalini itself and its consciousness which they fail to understand or even postulate as a viable consciousness of divinity. And so within that and the other kind of like personal scenarios that I have, I definitely part ways with Jainism. But I wish them well. I wish them all the best. Really hope that they do well with it. So there you have that. And if you have any questions, somebody is saying, dang, is this often? I'm working right now. Shoot. Lenny, yeah, I try to do this once a week, Saturdays, 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. So I hope to maybe you can participate later on. Also, I'm not sure about it, but I might be doing a Facebook Live video right after this. Like I said, no, I'm not quite sure about it here with my reception being what it is or isn't. So there is that. And then I would like to draw attention to Hungarian Lotus. Hungarian Lotus is an exceptionally talented artist. She has gone to university art, and I mean, even people in her own country, Hungary, kind of took her aside and said, you're really talented. And I think it's important for people to look at what grace has given them to express the energy through. And with Hungarian Lotus, she's been given the ability to express Kundalini through her paintings. And I've talked with this about her in the past, especially earlier on in our private instruction, that she has the ability to communicate healing through a painting. And she has demonstrated this time and again. She has Kundalini dreams that she's painting, and she just finished a really pretty one that I'm not going to give the title out to because I think eventually she might be posting that on the group. But she did a painting of Chrism, a portrait, and I wasn't even sitting for it. I don't know how she did this. Maybe she'll say. She's listening to the show right now. So, Hungarian Lotus, did you take that from a picture, or how did that work with you? I mean, did you just see the person in your mind and you can put that in the painting? I don't know how that works, but she is very, very talented. And if anybody has a desire to have a portrait painted of them, I would suggest that you get a hold of Hungarian Lotus, and her first name is spelled Hungarian, Hungarian, and then space, and then Lotus, Lotus, and I'm sure that she would be willing to work out a session for. She can do it. She says she's telling me she can take it off of a picture. So if you have your mom or your dad or yourself, it's an opportunity for you to really have a Kundalini person paint you. How cool is that? And I believe her rates are reasonable. I don't know what they are, but I believe they are reasonable rates. And maybe she'll give you some sort of a discount for being on the group, some sort of a situation like that. So she painted the picture of Chris Mitchell, and I will suggest that you look over your life and see if you can find times when you've been hurt and times when you have hurt others. Find these areas and then forgive them in a real and sincere manner for as many times as it takes. You are at the stage, if you're in Kundalini activation, ladies and gentlemen, you are at the stage where Kundalini may bring this up for you. And don't forget to forgive yourself as well, okay? The emotional body is as powerful as the physical body. Do not ignore it. And this is a truth, ladies and gentlemen. Most people don't kill themselves, Most people don't kill themselves because they have their body is saying, "Oh gosh, it's just terrible. I need to die now." It's usually the emotional body that will drive a person into suicide, like over a heartbreak or the loss of a child, or things of that nature. The emotional body is immensely powerful, and you don't want to ignore it. And I put it there. My Kundalini actually put it there onto this portrait that Hungarian Lotus painted as a way to push the power of grace through those words and through the image, so that you can really begin to postulate a format for you to do forgivenesses daily. Daily. Okay. So two different levels of Kundalini are converging. Her painting and her Kundalini and my grace that is speaking through the words are converging to give a healing to yourself using forgiveness with the power of the Kundalini coming through her picture and through those words. Think about that. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to express my gratitude to Hungarian Lotus. She didn't know I was going to do this. She didn't know I was going to talk about her today. I don't know if she's happy or sad about that. But I know that right now she's working in a virology lab somewhere in England, and she's working to help with the whole mad cow disease type of thing, and let's hope that they're coming closer to a cure for that. So once again, have a look at any of do the search engine and let put Hungarian Lotus in the search engine in the group there. It's on the left-hand margin. You'll see search this group. Put her name in there, and you might see some of her more of her paintings. Powerful paintings, very, very talented artist. So thank you. Thank you for that, Hungarian Lotus. Let's see. Rosemary, are you still receiving?
I am. It's going well. The sound is well.
That's because I called in. I guess using the computer microphone is maybe not that beneficial. Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, my beloved teacher. Thank you.
You're welcome. My beloved student, you're welcome. I'm getting a bit of a complaint from Hungarian Lotus. It says, I can't believe you give out every information about me. Actually, I haven't. I haven't given your address or your phone number or how long you've been with the Kundalini or anything like that. So your privacy is also being appreciated by me. But I thought it was, and I still think that it was important for people to understand that Kundalini will give a certain talent to people that they're born with. And, like your artistry is that way. Your artistry is that way. And it's something that needs to be valued, and it's something that other people can value about what you have and what is going through you, and the process that you're going through as well of being and I know a lot of people that have Kundalini express it visually. They do, and that's great. And anyway, so enough of that. I know you don't want me to talk about that anymore, so there we are. Somebody asks, do you happen to be unable to sleep because of the strong energy at night? What do you do to try to solve that? Thank you. And what I say about that is, unlike some of these belief systems that I was talking about earlier, like Jainism, you ask the Kundalini to let you sleep at night. She knows what's happening to you. She knows what the increased energy vibration is doing to you. She knows that it's keeping you awake. But maybe you just need to acknowledge her consciousness and her control over this that will allow you to get some sleep. So you just say, my Kundalini, please allow me to sleep if it is appropriate to what you're doing with me. Just say that. Just say it over and over, at least 9 times, and she'll get it. She'll get the hint, and maybe she'll it'll happen for you, and And I don't say that lightly because it has happened. You know, I say that on purpose because it works. It works, okay? So definitely start that conversation with the Kundalini. Start it. And I need to see how much time I have left here.